Today we have the pleasure of speaking to a certified volunteer cadaver dog handler about the unique journey he's embarked on with his Belgian Malinois. Join us.
So, I was born in Tampa, Florida. Grew up in the military. Both my parents were in the military. So I kind of was drawn to it from an early age. So I kind of knew that I was going to go into the military. So I started college and figured I didn't want to go, didn't know what to do. So I enlisted, and I was stationed in Montana. Well,
that sounds fun.
Yeah, you say that, but yeah. So I was stationed in Montana. It was a great state, good assignment. Our work was hard though. So once I ended up palace chasing into the Guard.
Palace chasing, what does that mean?
So basically, it's like a incentive thing where you can voluntarily separate early.
Right.
And what you have left on your active duty enlistment, you double it for the Guard.
You double it?
Yep.
So if you get out from active duty with 2 years left, you would have 4 years in the Guard.
Correct.
Okay, I had never heard of that before.
Yep. So I palace chased, and I had 3 years left on my active duty enlistment. So I had 6 for the Guard when I came over to the Guard.
Which is basically what most enlistment, the time frame for an enlistment is now. So of course you have the 6 years with the 2 year in active reserve right after. So.
Right. Yeah. So, so I did that, and then once I got here, the hours were different. Actually had access to a bathroom.
Right.
So it was definitely a culture shock coming from what I did in Montana to coming to the maintenance squadron here. So I had, for lack of better terms, idle hands.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to use my spare time, to do something, and try to, at least keep myself busy, and then also do something, that gives back. And that's what I did. Is I ended up signing up for the search and rescue program through the state. Growing up, I had little dogs.
Right.
I had a couple little Boston Terriers, and yeah, it was definitely a culture shock getting the dog that I have now.
Imagine taking one of those to a search and rescue mission, like a much smaller dog. But all right, so you get to the program, and you decide to go canine, like the canine route. So can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so a lot of work. More work than what I was anticipating. So it's a lot of training and learning how to train the dogs, and then train yourself.
Right.
And so while you're training the dog, you're also training yourself to be a good handler and trainer, but also in search and rescue as well. So, because my rescue specialist certification only got me in the door.
Right.
You got to keep it going from there. Yeah. So I was able to do mission manager courses and rescue tech courses and stuff like that, which I have those certifications. So, and that's just for me.
So you opened the door for an entire new world, basically, and you were starting from ground zero.
Ground zero, yep. So I got my dog Jakoby at 8 weeks old, and from there, you have to do. It's very strict as far as timelines and milestones for their training. So you have to be up to a certain speed when they hit a certain age, and if not, they do like retraining.
Right.
They can get you in. You can get with some people, some different trainers, and hey, these are my shortfalls. How do I pick it up to where we can meet the milestones where we need to be? And a lot of dogs, they wash out. They just can't hang. And
right.
Luckily, Jakoby was a rock star with it.
That's awesome. What kind of dog is he?
He's a Belgian Malinois. Yep.
Okay, so it's high energy.
Yeah,
I'm imagining.
Really high energy. Requires a lot of attention.
Is he social, like with other dogs or with other people?
Yeah, so he's able to work with other dogs on a team and stuff like that. We try to separate the dogs as much as possible.
Right.
We try to train our dogs to have that mentality of they're the man. They're the
the rock star, as you just said.
They're the pro athlete. Yeah. So when they get around other A-type mentality dogs, it sometimes doesn't go well. So we try to mitigate that.
Okay.
Yeah, mitigate that in a way. So he's not the most social dog.
Right.
Just because he is really driven as far as what he does, but as far as having a team out in the field, he'll eat it up.
Right, but is he affectionate towards you?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So I have just a regular dog. I have a pit bull who's extremely affectionate, but that type of training, I'm assuming that like those types of dogs are selected for a reason. Like those probably like German Shepherds, or that's what I see. I don't know anything about it, but
yeah. So search and rescue is a little different when it comes to the selection
right.
of the dog. We look for more of a dog that has the stamina to be able to go all day long. Our dogs are not bite dogs. They're not fighting people, so we don't look for size or strength or anything like that. We just look for a dog that's got the drive and the attention to be able to focus on a job for hours on end.
What does he look like?
So compared to what most people think is police dogs, right? So your normal police Malinois is anywhere from 65, 70 pounds, right in that area. He's right around 55 pounds. So he's a little guy.
So with that, like some of the missions that you do, could you explain like what exactly is your mission set, or you and Jakoby's mission set?
Jakoby is nationally certified through 2 different agencies for cadaver detection. So what we do is we're in the recovery side of search and rescue.
Okay.
So basically when all the rescue efforts have been exhausted and there's still people that are missing, that's when we go in and we'll stay there until everybody's found.
Sounds like a tedious job.
Yeah. Sometimes can be.
I'm assuming that a lot of repetition or just a lot of training goes into Jakoby and you doing the job really well.
Yep. Yeah, so it starts from day 1. As soon as we get them home at 8 weeks, we start what's called imprinting. So basically that's exposing them to the odor that we want them to find.
Right.
So in his case, it's human decay. So anytime he ate, which as puppies are really food motivated.
Right.
That's like their favorite time of day. So basically what we did is anytime he ate, he was sitting or we had a little jar of cadaver sitting next to him during his meal. So when he's eating, he's associating that smell with something good, which is his food. So it excites him. So every time now he smells it, he gets excited. So Jakoby's assigned to Region 22, which is Alabama, I think a little part of Mississippi, but I think it's Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's more of our area of responsibility. So that's typically where we hang out and do all of our missions at. We can go outside of that, but hopefully this winter we can get the training. But for here, it would make sense for us to
have the winter training.
Yeah, to have avalanche training or anything
right.
like that. So would it be cool to kind of expose him to that? Sure, but I would never. It wouldn't be practical here in this region. So.
Because we seldom get that type of weather.
So.
I think we're going to get an avalanche in Georgia.
Yeah, so those dogs will be all kind of spread out. They'll have their specialties, whereas Jakoby, his specialty is wilderness.
Right.
Yep, so he does the wilderness stuff, and then we do the urban stuff as well. So.
What do you prefer?
I honestly, it depends on the time of year. Wilderness is really fun. I say that until I'm in bushwhacking 300 yards, and covered in ticks.
That was my main concern.
Yeah, and it's 100+ degrees out. Yeah, so that stuff is fun. We've done a lot of stuff up in North Georgia. So we've actually done the rappelling training at Mount Yana, where the Army Rangers train.
Yona Mountain, near Habersham, right?
Yeah, it's right near Helen.
Right.
Yep. So we've been up there, done rappelling with him. So that stuff is fun. That type of wilderness is fun.
Given the weather,
Yeah.
So I'm assuming fall.
Urban search and rescue, it's a different animal. It's fun to train at first, but then as you do it over the years, it almost seems like it's the same thing over and over and over again. But I mean, I understand why we do it, and so it's a good skill set to have. That way, if anything happens, like what happened down in Miami, where the Surfside condominium collapsed.
Right.
We were in Wisconsin just days before that happened, working a pancake collapse, which is what it was.
Man. But and I'm sure all the training just pays off, you know, when you get into the real world situation, because I've heard that if you are training for something, like the training should be much harder than the reality.
Yep.
Would you say it's the same, or would you say it's easier?
So that's a tough question to answer, just because there hasn't been a single search that I've been on that's been the same.
Right.
Every time I go on something, it's something different. We get anatomical donations, so like
Anatomical donations.
yeah, so body parts.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the dogs, we can't use anything fake.
Right.
Because in the real world, they're not finding stuff that's fake. So anything that we train Jakoby on is real. So it's anywhere from pieces of limbs or bones to I go to a nurse and she'll draw my blood, and then we just put the blood in a little safe containers, and he'll hit on the blood.
Wow. So you guys are literally tied. Like
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but human decomp all smells the same to a dog. But yeah, that's what I was saying. Is like, so we were able to expose them. So the orthopedic surgeon, I think he's up in Atlanta. There was a guy that got into a motorcycle accident and pinned himself up underneath a guardrail, and they were like, "We got to take your ankle and your foot because we can't put it back together. It's mangled." So they were like, "You can donate it to these guys, and this is what they're going to use it for, or we can just toss it." And he was like, "Heck yeah, donate it." And so yeah, we had a whole foot in a rubble pile, and they were able to kind of go in and recover those remains.
Right.
So yeah, it made the training for them real. And we got really good feedback from their higher leadership and stuff like that, saying that was, something that they can't, duplicate.
You can't replicate that, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's good to show them too, like, hey, you guys get exposure to that while, also seeing what a dog can do.